It's not often that you see a staging for a Eurovision song that leaves you feeling like you really have no idea how they did it. That's happened in this past couple of weeks in Latvia's national selection, which is once again punching well above its weight. This year has some seriously strong contenders that could see Latvia see its third straight final at Eurovision after years in the wilderness beforehand. Unfortunately, it's entirely possible that none of these contenders will win, in favour of a recent X Factor winner with a great voice, but a song that is totally dead on arrival. Let's have a look at what we could have and what we might end up with. Quickly before we start, this video is sponsored by, well, me and my Patreon, which is in the description. This is my full-time job and I like being able to pay the bills, so please do consider it if you're able to. You will be thanked at the end of the video and you can see new videos on this channel a day early. Now it's time to get into these songs. You may notice that the backdrop has changed, and that's because I'm currently in Estonia for the Estonian national selection, which is taking place on the same day as this one. What that means is you are coming to me at a very Baltic time in my life. We'll get to that incredible staging that I mentioned in the intro, as well as the most likely winner at the moment, but we're going to start with something odd, but written by somebody who has inadvertently had an enormous impact on my life. I'll explain how. That's Robert Ox with his song Raving at the Taj Mahal. I would never have met my fiancé if it weren't for Robert Ox. I'm serious. For that reason, I'm going to delay talking about the song for a minute to explain why. Robert was one of the members of 20’s, who represented Latvia at Eurovision in 2022. You will probably remember them for this moment.
Instead of meat, I eat veggie.
Robert sung the choruses of that song at the contest. I went to Eurovision in 2022, and while I was there, they did a free acoustic gig on one of the main squares in Turin. It was a nice day, and me and my friends were out in the city anyway, so we decided to go. While I was there, I saw on Twitter that a mutual who I'd never met in real life before was also there. This is the exact interaction we had on that fateful day. You may recognize this person as Orna, who showed up on my vlog at UMK in 2024. After that exchange of tweets, we spotted each other, waved and said hello. Me and my friends were going for ice cream afterwards, and Orna and her friend Shark came with us as well. The now group of 5 of us were totally inseparable for the rest of the week, and we were all together basically the entire time. And then we also went to Eurovision together in 2023 and 2024. The fateful thing here though is that Orna is Finnish, and at the time in 2023, she was a massive fan of Kylie. She came to London to see the sold-out show that he did in October of that year. She convinced me that if I wanted to get near the barrier, and I wanted to get near the barrier, we would have to queue from 6 o'clock in the morning. So we did. Because we queued at 6 o'clock in the morning and had 14 hours to kill until the show started, I got talking to some of the people around us, including some of the people that Orna already knew from other shows. One of those friends had brought someone along with them on that day. That someone is now my fiancé. All of this together means, if it weren't for Robert Ox and the rest of the band that gave us instead of meat, I eat veggies and pussy, I would never have met my fiancé and my life would be totally unrecognizable to how it is now. Eat Your Salad by 20’s is therefore the single most personally consequential song in Eurovision history for me. None of this bears any relevance to this song or performance, but I thought that would be fun context to throw in there anyway. Robert is back to Eurovision this year with something that is silly but not quite as crude as Eat Your Salad was. It won't surprise you to hear that a song called Raving at the Taj Mahal is not high art by any stretch, nor is it meant to be taken that seriously either. That said, the name meant that straight away I saw a whole bunch of potential pitfalls. Given the subject matter, I had a bit of a worry that the staging or costumes could potentially maybe be insensitive. That is, if they leaned too much into certain stereotypes. Fortunately, having seen the performance now, this risk seems to have been averted. They took a much better approach, which was kind of channeling an Assassin's Creed type of thing. The song is electronic pop, and even though the name references the Taj Mahal, the Eastern influences feel a little more Middle Eastern than Indian subcontinent, which means the name is maybe a slight mismatch. It's probably not worth trying to find any meaning in the lyrics here, because, to be honest, I don't really think there is any. We managed to fit 6 choruses into a 3-minute time span and about 2 verses, although one is kind of an intro and a pre-chorus, and the other one is a quick rap segment. This is the kind of completely nonsensical song that can become extremely grating if it doesn't click for you. For example, my aforementioned fiancé hates this with a burning passion. I, on the other hand, find it quite catchy and enjoyable. It's unfailingly silly all the way through and does the one thing that it needs to do well well. That is, being so catchy that you remember it straight away. It probably won't win, nor should it in my opinion. It's definitely the least likely of the 4 songs in this video to manage to do it. But if it did, I wouldn't completely hate it. Most other people would. But since it's a funny dark horse with a personal meaning and backstory for me somehow, it deserves a place in this video. We are going to devote the majority of our time though to talking about the 3 big hitters. First of those is Atvara, who's entered this selection with her song Inna. This song has been high in the betting odds ever since the audio of each track was released, but this wasn't challenging for the top place in those odds until the performance in the semi-finals. Now at the time of filming, it's almost tied for the lead, and that should tell you about how strong that performance was. The song's name translates to In the Shadow, and appropriately, Atvara's shadow is visible for almost the entire performance. What's clever is that it isn't just a projection of her silhouette onto the stage. It tells a story, seeming to age backwards and represent her when she was younger. This ties in with the lyrics, which to be honest are really bleak. They touch on some kind of abuse or addiction perpetrated by a father from the perspective of perhaps that person's partner. That's because the lyrics seem to be addressed to someone young. Daughter, be silent, don't dredge up the past. Tonight father won't come home. Tomorrow he will clink glasses with a smile. Let's drown together in the abyss of doubt. To reinforce this, as these lines conclude, the screen fills with broken glass spinning around her. There are a lot of good things I have to say about this. Firstly, Atvara herself deserves flowers for this performance, because her vocal is stunning, especially the amazing run she does in the final minute, and she's also a really captivating performer. I don't know if this is a personal story for her, but the way she acts as she sings it makes it feel that way regardless. She's not just singing the song. Every element, from her facial expressions and the way she looks into the camera to the way she's dressed, fit with the subject matter perfectly. It becomes so much more touching as a live performance, because what is a mostly conventional ballad on paper becomes a story that you can feel and see live. It becomes tangible in a way you don't get with a studio version. This is one thing I really love about seeing these songs come alive at national selections like this one. It gives you 2 bites of a cherry for a song to present itself to you, as a song in your headphones, and then secondly as a performance unfolding before your eyes. There are a great many songs in this context where I will not listen to the studio versions because the live performances are so much more meaningful, so much more full of emotion and heart that it just makes way more sense to either listen to or watch that instead. I suspect that this will be one such example of that. I was, to be honest, unmoved by the studio version alone, but it made so much more sense when I saw it in front of me on screen. We get a lot of ballads in Eurovision, but not all of them meet the criteria that we're looking at here. They need to have meaning, and they need to find a way to put that meaning across to the audience. The challenge for Atvara singing in Latvian, as well as for anyone singing in a language that isn't widely spoken, is making the meaning of the lyrics, the subject matter of the song, understandable straight away to an audience that doesn't necessarily speak the language of the lyrics. That means the staging is very important. I do think they're onto a good thing here. Given the chance, I think we'd see something that would come together nicely, would get that meaning across at least to the juries, and as a result, since they're back in the semi-finals now, you have something that could contend for a place in the final. This is not my favourite of the show, but if it was to make it to Eurovision, I'd have no problem with that at all. This is a deserving song and a deserving artist, and it would add something to the competition. Unfortunately, Atvara is currently lagging behind the favourite to win this show. And in my opinion, out of the 4 songs in this video, this is the single weakest option for Eurovision. That's Emilija, with her song, All We Ever Had.
It's all we ever had, ever had. It's all we ever had, ever had.
Emilija has a great voice. There is a reason why she won the X Factor in Latvia in 2023. But a great voice does not make a great act or a great song. And at present, this is neither. Nevertheless, she almost took the crown last year with a very similar and equally underwhelming effort, and was one of the 3 songs that were tied for first place on 18 points. This year, she's looking like a threat to win because she won the public vote in the semi-final. I am going to handle this one sensitively though, because this is actually a song that I think has real and deep meaning for Emilija, and I'm going to explain why. The lyrics, I hope one day my father will see, and let me show you how I can make my mother proud, because I don't really think she ever was, take on different meaning when you consider the fact that Emilija was in an orphanage just a few months old. That was because she was removed from her parents' custody because they were addicted to alcohol and drugs. She was then adopted, but her adopted parents divorced and sent her to a boarding school before cancelling the adoption at the age of 18. I think this song is at least partly about that, and she's trying to tell her story and her experience of being a child who was repeatedly rejected and failed by the people who were meant to look after her. In this context, it feels vulnerable and clearly an effort to reckon with her own feelings. Nobody can take that away from her. And if she feels some kind of catharsis or progress in herself by singing this song, then that is a beautiful thing. With that in mind, though, we do need to consider things from the context of competition. That is the environment that we're in, both here at Supernova and potentially at Eurovision as well. This song is not competitive in this context on any level and would not have any prospect of making it to the final in May or even getting close to it. 45.2% of the lyrics of this song are the words "it's all we ever had" or the "it's all we ever got" in the outro. It feels absent of opportunities for development as well, so that these problems could be fixed with a revamp. It's not clear how you would evolve this to appeal more to the televote or to the juries, because there aren't really opportunities to show off more impressive vocals, which could pull a few points over. As well as that, the speed of the song feels like it's in a bit of a no man's land. It's too fast to sway to or to slow dance to, but it's too slow and ponderous to have any kind of push factor either. I'm getting some horrible flashbacks here, and unfortunately that's to Germany and UK and Ireland in the 2010s. Songs like this just really aren't competitive in this environment, because they're nobody's favourite in a field as rich and broad as Eurovision. Being everybody's 14th favourite means that you're in the better half of the songs almost, but you're going to get no points. And I genuinely think this is a song that is more likely to do that and risk getting 0 than it is of getting close to qualifying. Emilija has an excellent voice. She is clearly so talented, and she has a strong reputation in Latvia. But I really cannot stress enough that this song should not go to Eurovision. There are better uses of her talents, and if this was a total flameout in May, it would harm her career more than it would help it. Hopefully Latvians see that as well, and hopefully we see something from Emilija that is more viable in future. She clearly really wants to do this, but this song is just not the one. We're going to our 4th song of the video now, and this is the one that I teased in the intro. This, in my opinion, is not only a clear and unique option for Eurovision that will stand out from the rest of the field, but one that has already arrived with one of the most innovative and clever stagings that I've ever seen. That's Kylie with their song Te un tagad. This song stood out to me from really early on when the songs were released, and it's been growing on me ever since. It's profoundly un-Eurovision because it's an indie band that doesn't really fit the mold of anything that we're used to getting in the contest. And yet, from a totally unheralded and unlikely place, in my opinion, this is easily the best contender of the selection, and arguably the one with the best shot at a 3rd consecutive grand final appearance for Latvia. This has a lightness to it and this kind of carefree whimsy that is so difficult to capture, while simultaneously producing something that is so sincere and serious in its execution. That matches with the sort of quiet optimism and urgency of the lyrics, which talk of it being better to act in the here and now than to sit still and metaphorically be swallowed up. Even though it's talking about the necessity of change and the old, even if it's comfortable, having to make way for the new, it does so in a way that almost gives the impression of, oh, well, you know, that's life. It's a quiet acceptance of our world and the way our lives work, and a determination to make the best of that existence. While this was my favourite coming into it, I had no idea whether it could be successfully translated onto the stage. Luckily, what I got was one of the biggest positive surprises that I have had in a long time covering this contest. The performance starts simply with the lead singer's silhouette and then lone appearance on screen. We get the first wow moment almost immediately though, with 2 other members of the band sat at a table playing their instruments while reading a newspaper with 10-time Supernova participant Marcus Reaver on it, while the lead singer stands on a pile of books on the table singing the chorus. Reflecting the change that the passage of time brings, the clock on the table is speeding forward at a pace. At a glance, this looks like it must have been achieved with some kind of digital effect, but there is none, just clever camera work. This is done exclusively with physical, real optical illusions. I recognise that calling an illusion real is kind of an oxymoron, and as a result, the simplicity makes it 100 times more effective. I genuinely cannot work out how they made it this convincing. That magic is almost unheard of in modern Eurovision. Eurovision. I cannot remember the last time I looked at a staging and thought, wow, I have no idea how they did that. Into the second verse now, we get another beautifully constructed scene with the band the size of figurines on a shelf alongside a static TV, a metronome, tapes and vinyls. Finally, we move to what is, in my opinion, the showstopper of the performance. We see the entire band stood atop a pile of books on the table, where we started, before they leave the lead singer there for a brief moment. Then she walks forward, sitting down at the table and lifting the top book off of the pile that they were just standing on. There is some blink and you'll miss it trickery here that can be seen if you look at these two scenes side by side, but I'm not going to show you it on screen because, to be honest, it's so clever that I almost don't want to see inside and look at how it's made. You don't ask a magician at a show how they do their tricks. We're used to these huge, impressive stagings at Eurovision with massive props, panini presses, and giant projections that the artist magically clings onto. What a lot of these have in common is their scale. They're huge, expensive showpieces that attempt to, and often succeed, in dominating other participants and the contest at large. What makes this so special is that it couldn't be more different to that. This produces the same wow factor, but through the small things. Through attention to detail, from the spinning clock and the scattering of peanuts across the table as if someone has dropped them there in a hurry, to the ticking of the metronome and the tapes, each with different messages written on them. Every element of this has been pored over and fretted about by people who care about what they are creating. Grand and impressive stagings often end up having a cold, polished feel to them, almost as if they've been overthought and over-refined. This is warm, almost cozy in its genius. It's completely unlike anything I have seen in this competition before, and it deserves to go to Eurovision. It won't surprise you then to know that that is very much what I hope will happen. There are a few good songs here that would make good Eurovision entries, but I really deeply believe that this has the potential to be something special. Not in the sense of contending for a victory or anything like that, but in giving a performance that will be totally unlike any other, and therefore sit totally in its own lane. Luckily, the Latvian broadcaster has changed the rules of the selection this year. That means that we can help make it happen. I have never done a direct call in a video like this before, but today I am doing it. Tomorrow night, the Latvian national selection will take place. At the time you're watching this video, it might even be today. All of us can and should vote for Kylie to win. If we do, we could be the difference between 8 or 10 or 12 points in the televotes, and potentially the difference between first and second place overall. During the show, you can vote at this link, which is on screen now. Seriously, I'm going to leave this on screen so you have time to write this down or something. Write it down, save it, put a reminder in your phone. This show starts at 8:10 p.m. Central European Time. I will literally be attending the Estonian national selection at that time, but I'm still going to be keeping an eye for when voting opens so I can cast some votes for Kylie. This is a piece of art that deserves recognition. Let's help give it that. With that, it's time to conclude today. As I said at the start, and as you can tell from the backdrop, I am currently in Estonia for the Estonian national selection, and we'll probably be here for the next video I'm filming and the next stream as well. On Tuesday, we're going to be talking about whatever chaos goes on in Greece this weekend, before my Estonia vlog for this year will drop on Friday. In that video, we're going to be focusing a little more on the why when it comes to artists in national selections, as in what they want to achieve personally and professionally, and how the contest fits into those ambitions. A theme for this year has very much been trying to find meaning in Eurovision again and to redefine why it's important. We did that in Moldova from a kind of cultural and political standpoint. I want to do that from an artistic standpoint here. For now though, that's your lot. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to vote in the Latvian national selection tomorrow. Take care and I'll see you again very soon.